Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be joined today by Scott Newnam from Audio Advice in North Carolina. You've probably heard of him by now and heard of Audio Advice. They produce just a ton of great content that's, it's entertaining, it's eye-opening, it's fun to look at for us who love the techie side of things. And it overall, it more than anything, it's informative and it's educational, and it's just such a great resource. If you haven't already found it, go make sure you check it out, because you'll spend weeks digging through their YouTube channel and all the stuff on their website. It's fantastic. I I had been watching the YouTube videos for quite a while. Earlier this year, when we moved into this house in this room, I was trying to figure out screen size, throw distance, and how my projector would react in this room, and make sure that we weren't getting our heads in the way of the projected image, a la Mystery Science Theater. Um, and Googling and talking to friends, and no one really seemed to have a resource that would kind of give me that visualization of the image of the beam from the lens to the screen. So I put up a white piece of paper and mounted the projector and started testing things out, and ended up getting it right. But in the process of looking for that, I found the Audio Advice home theater designer tool. It's a 3D visualization tool that you plug in just a few values of your screen size, and what you want your theater room to contain, and it gives you back so much great information for helping you properly configure your room and your theater, and make sure that you can take best advantage of what you have, and maybe figure out what you need, and what to put into it. And Scott's here today to tell us about kind of the next evolution of that tool, as well as a standalone tool that's designed to help us properly set up and calibrate our projector setups. Scott, can you tell us about first of all, welcome to AV Nirvana.
Thanks.
You're better at this YouTube thing than I am. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you for all the great content that you do, and all the great resources, such as this new the projector tool. Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of the overview of what it is?
Yeah. So first, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And it was great just chatting with you a little bit before. And as you mentioned, we're really into this stuff. We love it. And we produce a lot of videos and content to try to help people. But the home theater tool, which we released a couple of years ago, was all about enabling people for free to be able to design their rooms and figure out, where do my Atmos speakers go and where should my sides go? And you can move your seat forward and backward and see how that changes it and those types of things. But one of the things we didn't have in it at the time was a calculator to help you figure out what projector should you use, which ones can achieve the brightness level that you want given your screen size and screen gain, right, and where should you position it. And so what I will do, this might be easiest, I'm going to take over the screen if that works for you.
Absolutely.
This is the new tool. I assume you can see it now.
Yep, we got it.
Yep. So what we did, we simultaneously progressed the home theater designer tool, and we brought in projector throw distance information. And we said, while we're doing that, wouldn't it be cool if we could provide a standalone tool? Maybe someone's already figured out where they want other speakers, or they're just putting a new projector in the room that they've already had, or it's a home theater installation company somewhere else in the United States. They've designed a room for someone, they're going to install it, and they just need to know, where do I put the projector? Or I'm trying to specify a projector for someone. So this tool, just like the other one, is completely free. And it's at audioadvice.com, Projector Throw Distance Calculator. And I'll just show it to you here. You'll see we use the same style and everything that we try to do in both the tools is designed to be super simple. And hopefully you found this when you were doing your own room. Like, it should just be, oh my gosh, like it's doing massive amounts of calculations and math in the background. But yet in 10 minutes, I could design my room. I mean, that's the concept. And
it is insane how easy it is to just plug in, well, this is my screen size that I'd like. This is how big my room is. And it just starts feeding you information and asking you the right questions.
And what's fascinating is, as you know, it takes way more work to build a tool that's super simple and easy to use, and sort of solves everything in a very easy way than it is to build something complex. So a lot of the work, while we did a bunch of algorithms and calculations and stuff, a lot of the work is how do we make the user interface so that your average person could just go use this and it's helpful for them. So when you go to this page, what you see is it starts with projector brand and projector model that's generic. And what you would do is you would choose, let's just jump in here. We're going to choose a Sony, for instance. And we can choose the projector model. And let's say we just chose, I'm going to choose the new 7000 ES that just came out, new laser projector. And what you'll see, the first thing it does is it just gives you all the key information on it. So right in front of you are vertical offsets, minimum throw ratio, max throw ratio, the stated lumens. Now, what you and I were talking about before the show, which I think is really critical here, what we found is that manufacturers will overstate or understate, however you want to call it, they will state lumen levels and other things that are not accurate in a real life environment. And so what we decided to do was we were like, if we're going to make the tool, we're going to bring in all the projectors and test them in our lab. And we're going to measure brightness level, and we will measure it at different distances, because this is where it gets really interesting. You could have a projector that at its closest throw distance has one sort of nit level or brightness level on a screen. As you begin to back it up, you lose that brightness, but they all lose at a different rate. And so you might think, oh, this brand projector is better than this brand projector, but you haven't really done the calculation, but I'm going to be 10 feet back. And in fact, it might be the reverse if you're 10 feet forward versus 10 feet back. And so we've put all that information in here, as well as one of the things you'll see here is we've calculated noise level. So one of the things that's interesting when you design a theater, if the projector's right over your head, you're going to really care about the SPL level of that fan. And so we also have done the calculations on those. But so let's just say we've chosen Sony. We've got our 7000. We can do inches or centimeters. And this is really funny. When we launched the tool 2 years ago, it was only in inches and feet. And we had so many people from Europe and India email us and say, we're using this tool and we're having to convert to the metric system. So we went ahead and added metrics, even though we don't sell internationally ourselves, and so but people can use it. So you'll see here, it's very simple. You'll choose your ceiling height, and you'll notice as I move ceiling height, you'll see it's calculating how high this projector should be from the ceiling. You can tell it how far your screen is from the bottom of the floor. What's interesting, all this same data is now in the home theater designer, like if you were to design a tool from the beginning, and it will calculate for you based on your seats and risers, how high it should be off of the floor. Whereas in this tool, it's just standalone. I'm trying to figure out where to put that projector. Then you can choose your aspect ratio, 16:9, 2.4. Let's jump out to 2.4. And then you can set your image size. So you'll see as I increase this image size, it's adjusting in real time the positioning of that projector, and it's literally that simple. Then I can tell if I have an anamorphic lens or not, which is pretty cool. So we know this only applies to a very small portion of people, but you could choose an anamorphic lens, and anamorphic lens has an impact on the light going through. And so that will make that adjustment. And then choose screen gain. Let's just jump in here. Most people have about a 1.3. So we'll change to a 1.3. We even put the vertical and horizontal offset, because people sometimes will have this room and maybe it's a diagonal roof line or something, and they need to be able to either bring the projector up a little bit, and it will show you how far you can actually take it off of being at the top of the screen, or that you can go to the left and to the right, which is, I think, pretty cool. Obviously, for most people, you want to be in the middle, but it's helpful to know I could go a foot over to the right and still be okay. Now it shows us the throw distance. And you can see it from this green bar that's holding the projector up here. You can either grab the projector and move it forward and backward on the bar to the closest to the farthest away, or you can use the slider in the tool itself. It also gives you ideal throw distance. In most cases, ideal throw distance is the closest position, because it allows you to get the brightest perspective. But then the final thing of the tool, as you see, it's super simple, is it tells you if it's HDR compatible. In other words, do you have enough nits to have HDR movies? And this is a sufficient projector for your room. So if I dropped this projector down now and made the screen a lot bigger, lower lumen projector, and backed it up, you would see it fall below, and I'd know, okay, I can't use this projector for this usage. And then you can print or save this and you're done. And you could hand it to an installer and they wouldn't know where to put it in.
this is it, I just like to point out that in the amount of time that we just spent on this, I don't think I could have downloaded SketchUp and even just gotten the room built after I've figured out how to use SketchUp. You know, so many people have built these visualizations of their theaters in a Google SketchUp, but not only are you getting the visualization, but you're getting the data to match it up. And having used the save to PDF feature on the home theater designer, it's literally it's like an almanac of every measurement that it provides. It's not just a PDF of this screen. This is just another step, so far beyond what anyone else has done. The other projector calculators that you see, they're just plugging in manufacturer numbers. The fact that you've taken the time to measure actual samples of these projectors and put in real world data instead of best case scenario data it's just unbelievable. And this is free. You don't even have to download an app and install it on your computer. This is just a web-based app, and it's so easy to use. It's just incredible.
Well, I appreciate, one of the things that we learned on the home theater tool, I should jump over because we simultaneously updated that. This is the home theater tool version that's got that same information now, but is designed the whole theater, is how many home theater installers in the nation were using it.
Right.
And, we generally have told people, go use it and have fun with it. We would rather people all across the country use it. And if it's helpful for us, great. If it's not, that's terrific too, because we put a lot of work into it. You'll see now, back when you use this for your room, we didn't have this green bar showing now exactly where you can put the projector and where it should go. Right. That's now been added into it. The other cool thing I'll just show you that I think is we simultaneously updated the tool. It's a little bit off a projector, but I think it's like the coolest thing in the world. If I go into, let me add a second row of seats here. So you'll notice when I go to a second row of seats, it moved the screen up because you'll see as I move it forward and backwards, it knows it's doing a calculation of the eye height of a person in the second row, and it has to get over the first row. But for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to jump down here, and I think this is super. So you'll see I've got the same now generic projector brand. Let's go in, let's put a JVC in here, and let's do the new JVC NZ9. And you'll see it's showing my immersion level because we're really close to it. So
and you can also set your preferred seat in the room. So this might be set to the front row as being
it is. In fact, that's a great point. Let's put it on the back row. So let's move the back row now. And exactly, you nailed it. That's exactly what was going on there. So now what you'll see on the video setup is the immersion level is average for this back row. Once I made that change. You can even change your border width now because some people are doing like 1-inch borders, right, on their screens. But what I think is really cool is this. I'll add in the audio setup. We've even added front wide surrounds, by the way, which are pretty cool. And it'll put them between the front speakers and the side speakers. But my favorite is this. I'm going to just put in 4 Atmos so you can see it. Right here at the bottom, there's one simple slider. And by the way, we have a patent just on this slider. So there's all this other stuff that we patented on, like, because we thought it was so cool to design it. But the mathematics behind this bottom slider is as much as everything else in, but it's nothing but slider. So here's what it says. People will often be designing their room, and some people say, I really only sit in that room myself. I want it perfect for that seat by all Dolby spec, and I want it to be great for DTS. And I don't really care about the other ones. When they come and sit next to me, they don't really know and don't hear the difference. And so you would leave this thing at primary seat. Other people say, actually, no, I've got a family. We use it all the time. And what I want is the best experience across all seats. And so what we do is we allow you, and if you watch, the best example I can give, we're at 100% primary. See how these front Atmos are actually behind the front row?
Right.
So that front row is not getting a good experience. They are in perfect position in all ways right now for this center seat on the back row, as is the side speakers in the front wides. But what if I want it to be better for everyone? So as I start to slide this, watch what happens. The Atmos are the easiest to watch. And you'll see the sides do the same thing. As I start to move it, and I'll move it all the way over, now what you'll see is that the front Atmos are in front of both. The right Atmos are to the right of every single seat. The rear Atmos are behind every seat. The left Atmos are to the left. And now the sides split the difference between the front row and the second row. And so everything changed. What most people will do is they will move this all the way to the point at which it turns orange. And when it turns orange, what that means is they're now out of Dolby spec for this seat. And they'll pull it back one click right there. And at that spot right there is the optimal position to get the best across every single seat while still being in spec at the primary listening position. And anyways, to me, it's one little slider, but there's so much happening there.
Yeah, it's mind blowing how much information you can get from these two tools now. That it just takes no work at all to get there from a user perspective. Obviously, the work has been put in on the back end, and that as someone who has somewhat of a background in user experience and interface, this deserves an award. It's just a fantastic tool. It's so fast and it's so easy.
We really
and you
appreciate
save it. You can go back in and edit things later. I mean, I still have this room saved in your database, so that, you know, if I decide, because, well, one of the steps, I haven't added my ceiling speakers yet, so I'm going to need to go back in there and, you know, make sure I have those in the right spot. You know, you can go back, months later and modify it, and that's how, you know, when we started talking about doing this little video, I went back and opened mine up, and then I'm like, hey, this stuff wasn't here before, and all the projector tools are in there now, and, you know, now I have a better idea of where my ceiling channels will go, and also having an older projector, and this is actually something I was going to ask. You know, obviously the projectors that you have listed in this database are current models and recent models. I have an older JVC that's, you know, pre-dynamic tone mapping, but it does have HDR, so, you know, I'm kind of considering options there. But, you know,
so your current one is pre the NX series?
Yeah, it's the X790R.
Yeah, so we've got the NX series in, and we've got the NZ series in. We're going to add more as we go along, which I think is the implicit part of your question.
Sure.
Mostly it will be ones that are current spec, as you might imagine, just because of the time and work involved in doing all the measurements in the lab.
And you've got kind of the three majors in there, the JVC, Sony, and Epson. Do you plan to have add projectors in lines that maybe Audio Advice doesn't carry, like a current model bank?
We are planning on adding more projector lines into it. Yeah.
Very cool.
One thing, I didn't show in here that's actually pretty cool, but if you click this ruler button, this is something people ask for, we get feedback on. This has progressed since you saw it. The ruler button now will show you real time if you're designing. Let's say you're designing with a friend or wife, or, you know, if you're a company using this, designing with a customer or something, it'll show you the distance to the front of your front row. It'll show you the distance to the riser, and then it shows you the distance from the ceiling. But when you save the specs, it actually tells you the pole length you need to order, because it has to adjust for the mount. So the pole length will be slightly different from the distance from the ceiling to the projector. Anyways, point is, to your point, we've actually dramatically improved all the calculations that come out of the printout now. So it's much easier for people to know, where does everything go?
And it even shows that if you wanted to move your projector into another room, you have room to do that as well. I mean, it's just, you've thought of everything in this tool, and it's fun to play around with, even if you're not building a room, you know, just to, you know, build your dream system in this tool, and you can just see how powerful it is. Set it up with, you know, your ultimate dimensions, or, you know, it's just so easy to jump in and see if something is feasible or not.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, we put a lot of work into it, and it was super exciting talking to you, where you're like, oh, I used this, you know, a long time ago, and now I got to upgrade. And that's the kind of thing that makes us feel incredible, because we're like, my gosh, we're investing to like really try to get, provide something terrific. And it's just nothing better than hearing people like you go, oh my gosh, it really helped me design my system.
Well, you know, the tools are great. All the resources that you provide are great. There's a reason, you know, I moved from Iowa to Seattle yet I know everything about, not everything, but I know a lot about audio advice. A company who's in North Carolina. I've never set foot in one of your showrooms. We've never talked before or met before, but the content you provide is so, it's a massive library of really valuable information and educational materials. And you have a library of content that a lot of people would put behind a paywall, and you're just offering it up there for the community. And it's just you and your entire team. I You do a great job, you're great on camera, but I also know there's a full team behind all that content, and they just do just a fantastic job, and it's such a great value for everyone.
Thank you. Well, when we started, we have two stores, one in Raleigh and one in Charlotte. And the stores, for anyone who's been in them, are really, they're very large for specialty stores. So you can go in, for instance, at Raleigh store, you can go in a $10,000 theater, and then a $35,000 theater, and then, one that's 150,000. You can experience all these things. We want people to be able to touch and feel. And what we realized was not every community has a store like that. And so we built the website that would enable, DIY people to go learn, and maybe they want to build their own theater, or they want to have a relationship with someone. So the whole branding and the whole idea of how we went to market was to create a lot of great content, put it all over the website, make it for free to everybody. So there's YouTube videos, there's reviews, there's calculators, there's everything you would want. And even in like a lot of the videos I do, I tell people, look, if you have a store really close to you and you go in and spend a bunch of time on a Saturday helping them, you should buy from that store. You should support that local store. But if that's just not your thing, or you don't live near a store, or you're a person that really likes to do your own, we've tried to build a playland, right? That people can go, oh my gosh, like this is as good as being a store. And in some ways it's even better because we're on demand.
And I would also say, for those who might not have that store locally that they're going to and shopping, and you're watching, like me, you're watching the audio advice videos and going through the website and utilizing all that content, support audio advice as well. I mean, the stuff is not free to make. I'm a content creator myself, professionally, and it's not free to make. And I just like going into your local showroom and using their knowledge and their demos. Support the folks who are helping you along the way and educating you and being that fantastic resource. So
Travis, that's a great way of saying it. I think that's exactly how we feel. It's like, go support your local store. If you're spending time and learning and they're investing in you, don't try to beat them down on price. Go support them. And that gets an interesting thing. The good news in the market today is the pricing is the same everywhere. There's generally supply constraints. All of the vendors have basically stated, we're going to have a good, fair price, and everyone's going to charge the same price. And so, at AudioDevice online at audiodevice.com, we sell 15,000 products. So we have all the major speaker lines, all the major receivers, all the major projector lines, and they are the same price every single day on our site as if you went into a brick and mortar, or you ordered from, we sell speakers, the same speakers that Amazon does. Right. And they're all price matched everywhere, which I think is great for everybody, because it means you don't have to worry. It's like supporting your local dealer. You're not going to pay more now than you would somewhere else. And if you support Audio Advice, we'd rather you buy from us than go buy on Amazon, for instance, right? You're not going to pay any more. It's the same price. So I think it's extremely well stated.
Well, Scott, I really appreciate your time today, and I believe the tool is going live on what is it, September 20th?
That's right.
Tomorrow, if we're watching this tonight, Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, you'll be able to go to the Audio Advice website, and it will be linked there. I'm guessing there will be a pretty big splash link on the homepage. So go check it out, go play around with it, because it really is a cool and powerful tool. And that home theater designer 3D tool is available there on the site now, and it does have the projector information in there as well. So if you're watching this late tonight, go check that out. So,
perfect.
Well, Scott,
thanks,
thank you for your time, and have a great day. I know it's a big one for you, so enjoy it.
You bet. Thank you.
You bet.